I'm not going to put the banner up. Woo! We're live.
Sure. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We have sunshine today.
Oh, I'm so happy. I hate Cleveland when it's winter. It's so depressing, but the sun is good.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in about 2 weeks that we've had sun here at the house. So,
Exactly.
I must be getting older to the point where I'm like the little things, like seeing sunshine. Makes Who needs a mansion when you got sunshine for
That's right. You got everything if you've got sun.
Even though then I have to stay out of it because I don't tan, I burn. So
Yeah, right.
while standing in the shade.
You're enjoying it anyway. So do you take extra vitamin D because you don't go in the sun?
I do, mainly because it also helps metabolism. So
Okay.
So I do that, not necessarily for the sun, because I'm lucky that I don't have like seasonal affective or anything like that. So, but it's more the digestion or metabolism. Hi, Sandra. Sandra's with us already this morning. So as people are coming in, if you have any questions, feel free to type those in the comments. Marianne's going to answer them live for you. So Marianne can answer. Hi, Amy. Earthbound spirits, negative energy, even a little bit on the wee fae folk. What am I forgetting? Portals.
The last Zoom had so many people with portals, and one before that, nobody had a portal. It's so weird the way that happens.
It's like minds or like attracts like, and somehow even across state lines. I know I've had people like ask me later who have watched some of these. Like the common question is, if the earthbound is not from a portal, they can come and go as they please, in and out of your house, go bug the neighbors, go bug the guy down the street. What is it about the portal that keeps them unable to leave the house? Like, why are they then?
The portal is it's a very, very negative energy. And that's why the ones that come out of there are very, very negative. And they just have to, they're just not allowed to mingle with the good people. They have to stay in their own, put them in their own section. So
it's like a battery source then.
Exactly. It's like that's their energy, and that's where they have to go back. Okay. Like I said, a few will go, I can make the white light and some of them will go, but most of them, they're afraid of retribution. They really don't want to cross over because most of them did really heinous things. So it's like, yeah, well.
You should have behaved yourself.
That's right. That's right.
So Sandra says, how screwed up am I? I forgot to spend my pennies. So that means
well,
next year, right?
Yeah, let's unwrap them and spend them. And then next year, try to do it, in a timely manner. Ted put it on Facebook. I don't know, I don't know what else to do. We talked about it, and
Sandra's even, she's better off than I forgot to even wrap the pennies.
Yeah. It's not, you don't have to do it. It's just that I think anything that you can do that's positive to try to bring in, good vibes, good money, I think it's worth it. So.
Right. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try.
No. All you had to do was remember to spend them. That's all I had to do.
Greatest lie I tell myself now. I'll remember that. I have to write things down now.
I can do that too if I remember where I write them at. That's the problem. So I make a list to go to the store, and I get to the store. It's like, oh yeah, sitting on the kitchen table. Didn't take it.
And then I walk out of the store with the spaghetti noodles and the meat, but leave the sauce on the store shelf. So yeah.
I'm lucky with that. I make my own. So when Ted wanted it for his birthday meal, he just went in the freezer and took the sauce out. So that was good.
All right. So good morning, Patrick and Marlene. So we have some people joining us. This is a great time to ask questions of Mary Ann, be it earthbounds, energy portals, curses, negative energy. Though, you know, when it comes to negative energy, you have said many times that it's usually women putting the negative energy out, not so much the guys.
Right.
You know, because guys are more prone to that. Do you think it's
Physical.
because, yeah, quick and physical, like solve it now versus sit back and
they usually can go from 0 to 10 just with a glance, so they don't think about it. I think a woman thinks about how to get even, and they put a little bit more thought into it. I think women are way meaner than men. Truly, I really believe that. And being Italian, I probably shouldn't say this, but I really think that most women ran the mafias. I really don't think it was the men. It should have been the godmothers, not the godfathers, because I think they really ran it.
How many of them wives will pull on the strings without the husband knowing it?
How hard is that to do?
Shh, Ted might hear you.
Yeah, he's engrossed in something.
Andy, Christina, Lewis. Christina says she agrees. Women are meaner. You know, and even as my years of home health aid, I've found that the little old guys, and which I didn't take care of very many of the men, just because they're either really, really, really sweet, but then rather than being mean, they're perverts. Unfortunately, sorry guys, that's what I found, and that's what I'm like, I'm not doing any more of the gentlemen. But the women, you know, I think spite makes you live longer. You know, it was those adorable little grandmas that you wanted to take home with you. They were always the ones to pass on first. And it was that right. Little mean old thing that was like 105 and still going. And I'm like,
the mouth doesn't quit. It's like, isn't your mind supposed to be slowing down by now? Your body isn't keeping up with your mind, but usually it's reversed. But yeah, there's, you know, it's like, I guess it's the definition of a happy drunk or a mean drunk. I guess it just depends which one you
are. Let's see. So Amy says she ordered one of your quinces and sage. It says she's using the last sage stick sparingly as needed whenever I am in the house. You know, Amy, I have plenty of sage, so don't not do it properly.
You're wasting your time and your money if you're not doing it the way you should be doing it. I mean, if you're only doing the one room for, you know, a kid's room and you're doing it every 2 or 3 days to make sure nothing bothers the kid, that's one thing. But just remember, wherever the smoke isn't is where your earthbound spirit is going to be. Mm-hmm. So you paid for the smudge stick. You took the time to do it. You may as well do it right.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just kind of, you're wasting time, energy. You're sticking away your money because now you're stick that you bought.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So Gina says, hi, Mary Ann. I originally got interested in earthbound entities after reading the book, The Unquiet Dead by Edith Fiore, which came out back in 95. Have you read it? If so, any thoughts on it?
You know, I can't say for sure, but years ago when there were actually bookstores, the Borders at Strongsville, we had a book club once a month, and people picked which books they wanted us to read and then discuss at the following meeting. And I believe her book was one of those. Like I said, that was, how long has Borders been gone from Strongsville? A long time. And they were really good because they started out where there was maybe 20 or 30 people that showed up every month, and it got to the point where there was over 100 people that showed up for this book club. They were bringing their own chairs because there was no chairs to sit on. So I think this is the thing, Gina. Everybody does things differently, and however she did them is probably not the way I do it. But that doesn't mean she's wrong and I'm right, or I'm wrong and she's right. It what works for her. So any book, including my books, read, throw out half of the information, because I'm writing what works for me in those books, and it may not work for you. So I think you just have to read as much as you can and pick and choose what you want to keep in your, vocabulary and use. But everybody's so different.
All right. So Lewis, and it's lost in the pile of questions here, but Lewis was asking, can spirits cry?
Well, they can laugh. I know that. And they can try to scare people. Yeah, I have to admit, yes, I've seen a child ghost cry. Okay. Yes. Never seen an adult ghost cry that I can remember, but I have seen a child ghost cry, yes.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Carla says she had a daughter work in the nursing home and agrees that most of the men in those nursing homes are pretty dirty old men. Let's see. And I believe I saw Carla. They're popping in spurts, like there'll be nothing and then the page will fill. Carla had said that she and her husband had did the curse removal next to onto one another and immediately felt lighter. So yay that ceremony worked. I know your seed also seems to, like, if there's something on there, sometimes putting the seed on will make something kind of like detach or kind of remove some of the negative energy, only because, like, Hank had mentioned that he had something, and as soon as he put the seed on, he felt like this pop and felt better.
I think what it is more this, like, positive energy attracts positive energy. Negative energy attracts negative energy. When a negative energy is put on a person, it is no more than the thickness of a lead pencil, just outline. Like when you were a kid and you'd outline a picture with your crayon, dark, and then color it nice inside. But every time something negative happens, it gets thicker and thicker. When you put the seed on, no more negative energy can get thicker on you. It's not going to take off what you've got on you, but no more is getting on top of you. And sometimes that does make you feel lighter just for that reason. Yeah.
So Patrick asks, do spirits tend to get stronger the longer they are earthbound? Is there a limit to the amount of energy they can absorb?
No, I think they only take as much energy as they need to keep going. It's not like they can, store it in a 6-pack or something. They have it, they use it, and when they need it, they just stand next to you again, or aggravate you, or scare you, or whatever they're going to do. But no, I don't believe that they can store energy.
So Amy, who's almost out of sage, was asking if she can tell her earthbound spirit to go to the nearby funeral home because she's almost out of sage.
Take a piece of paper and just on one side of a piece of paper, write, if you want to go to the light, go to and name the closest funeral home to your house. Say it's Golubski. Go to Golubski's when there's a service going on, and that will give them the option of whether they want to go or not. I've already been in people's houses where they did not want their ghosts. They did not want me to let their ghosts go, which it just blows my mind when somebody says that. And it's like, why? why do you want to keep them? Well, I think it's cool, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, fine. And there's the ghost standing there. They thought they were going to go. They thought they were going to see their loved ones. And now it's that person's house. I always say, you're ready to let them go. And if they say no, I stop. However, because I don't have to talk out loud, I will definitely say, hey, Barry's funeral home is down the street. If you see a service going on, jump in the white light. You'll be where you need to be. So I'm not releasing them because they told me not to. But if I give them the information on how to do with them on their own, that's okay too.
Since you don't have to talk out loud, but what if the earthbound spirit was like, no, I want to. Will you go ahead and do the light for them?
No, it's the person's house. I will not.
I'd be doing it in the yard. Take it out there then. I mean,
okay. And it works. Actually, one of the stories, I will show you examples later on YouTube on how that works, but they definitely can. If they want to go bad enough, they can definitely. Actually, the one ghost said to me the one time, she says, well, when my mother died, I was at the funeral home and I saw her go into the light. And I said, you could have gone. She goes, oh, I didn't know I could have gone. I said, yeah. I said, so now go back. She said, do I have to know the person that's dead? I said, nope. I said, you just have to go in there, and that white light's not an individual light. It's universal. Just jump right into it and you'll be where you need to be. And again, I didn't let him go. It's funny, this particular house, the woman called me about 3 weeks and she said, did my ghost leave? I went, and I was not lying. I said, I don't know. She says, I don't think she's around anymore. And I said, oh, well, what can I say? She says, can I have the seeds now for my doors? I said, oh, gee, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Yep, we're definitely meaner than men.
My next question would be, as people are typing in, if the earthbound is a homeowner who originally built the house, it was their house, do you default to who owned the house first?
I never go into that many details. No. No. Even if they say, well, it's my house, I'm staying. It's like, no, you're not. You have to go. But, it's like, I've joked about it. If they can come home and live with me if they iron and do windows, clean my house. They can come with me. I'll be more than happy to give them, I'll have a party once a week to give them energy if they want to do all that nice stuff for me. Corners of the floor, the baseboards, cobwebs, will they do all that? So,
right.
Yeah, then I'll keep them, of course.
Yeah, earn your keep by cleaning if you can't pay rent.
That's right. That's right.
Let's see. So Lewis asks, have you ever been to a house where the person has no ghost or anything and the people get annoyed? Sorry, I speak English. Get annoyed or argue with you about it? Yes, I do have a ghost.
Oh, no. And that was a big problem for me many, many, many years ago, because people would call and they would tell me all these things that are going on in the house, and this is happening and this is happening, which sounds like they have a ghost in the house. And this is when I was living in Worcester. And so I would drive all the way back up here, and I would try to do where it was 2 or 3 houses. I wasn't going to come up just for one at the time. And I'm talking 40 some years ago. And I mean, gosh, I didn't even charge anybody to come to the house back then, because I had my other job, my real job. And I went to the first house and she says to me, what do you mean I don't have a ghost in my house? This is happening and this is happening. And I have flies in my attic. And I said, you didn't tell me that you watched the Amityville Horror. because everybody that has flies in their attics thinks they have a ghost in their house. And I said, no, I'm sorry, you don't. She says, but I really, really want one. I said, sorry. I said, I can't, I don't know how to call a ghost. I went to the second house and she did not have a ghost in her house. And she said, oh, yes, I absolutely have a ghost in my house. I said, okay. I says, maybe you have a ghost in your house that's crossed over and is visiting and I can't see them. And she said, well, I told all my friends you were coming. I heard you on the radio. You were on with on WMMS way back when. And I know I have one. She says, well, here. And she throws a piece of paper and a pen at me. She says, would you write that you were here and you got rid of my ghost and sign it? I said, no, I won't do that. And she said, well, that's not very nice. And I said, I have another house to go to. And I went to the third house. Oh my gosh, these people were so angry with me because they didn't have a ghost either. That is when, on the way home, I said, no, I cannot do this anymore. These people are aggravating me. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so I went to bed that night and I said my prayers, and I got done saying my prayers, and I said, and oh, by the way, God, I said, if you want me to keep on doing this, you better come up with plan B, because plan A isn't working. I'm done. The very next phone call, 3 weeks later, when somebody called, I could see in their house. Nice. And from that point on, if I can see in the house, you got something going on. If I see nothing in the house, your house is clear. I'm not coming out. It has aggravated my one sister travels a lot, moves a lot. She's had like from Canada to Florida to Texas with her husband's job. And sometimes when she calls me from her new house, she's got something, which is really cool because then I can see what the whole house looks like without visiting. But if there's nothing in the house, I can't see. So
like, look at the renovation we did in the kitchen. Wait, where'd the ghost go? You can't see it.
Right. Well, yeah. Let's tell the ghost to walk into the kitchen so that I can see what the kitchen looks like, or the basement. Oh, you refinished the basement. Let's go down the basement and see what it looks like, which I can see. But like I said, if there's no ghost, I can't see anything. So, yeah, that has saved me, because to this day I do not know how to call a ghost. I don't even want to know how to call a ghost.
You would get no rest.
No, why would I even do that?
Let's see. So Margie was on the Zoom that we just did, and says that she and her husband are feeling much better. That they smudged. They're going to do it again in 10 days. Perfect. And they also did both cars just to play it safe. So thanks for joining us, Margie. And Swifty says that they live in a 20-unit apartment building. I smudge regularly, or they do. Is there anything else they could be doing to keep the ghosts that they are sure in the building out of their space?
You can do a couple of things. Smudging, of course, is your best thing to do. The other thing that you can do is, if there is carpeting between your apartment door and the hallway, you can sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on the carpeting. You do not have to make it look like a beach. A little bit goes a long way. But if it's tile, you can't do that. That's one thing that you can do. The other thing that you can do is get on Zoom, but get yourself a Quincy charm, one of the cheap ones. And if the house is clear or the apartment is clear on Zoom, you can just put that seat over your outside doors and you never have to smudge again. So that's an option too. We still have some spaces for the Monday one, right, Melissa?
I'm sorry, I was reading comments.
We still have some space on the Monday Zoom.
Yeah, there's about 13 spaces left, I believe.
Okay, but that's an option. And just so you know, there's only one person left out there from the beginning of December that has not gotten their order. All the rest have finally, the second to the last is being delivered today. So there's only one person left out there floating around that hasn't gotten an order. So I think they're finally
catching up, hopefully.
I hope so.
So Lisa, who was on with us, says she was on the Zoom and was so shocked that you said her grandma's name as a visitor that she had lost every other question she had. The ghost you saw had been there 6 years. So is the ghost that's been there since when her kids were young, is that ghost gone now?
Yeah, if it was a kid ghost, yes. My children get older every day. The kid ghost stays the same age. They're going to go to a house where there's younger children or, kids their age again. But that doesn't mean that once the child left or your kids got older, that another ghost didn't come in. I mean, I have no way of knowing. But I'm glad that the smudging is working. It like I said, if I was Native American, boy, I'd have stock in it. I certainly would to make those things.
You'd be that little grandma braiding.
That's right.
Let's see. So James, this is the second part of his question. Since it was so long, we're only going to show the second, but he's had questions. But 3 times of seeing spirits, the first time being on the solstice and the last time was last night. A spirit or something has been in my room. It is clear, but you can tell it has a body outline, and it says it keeps passing through them.
Okay, well, they do not pass through you. You do not sit on them. They do not sit on you. But if they get really close to you, their energy, you can feel their energy. So that is actually what most people sense. They think it's walking through them, but it is not. And the other thing too, don't forget, these may not be earthbound. This may be a spirit that has crossed over. Maybe it's your guardian angel. Maybe it's a relative that died and is there for a visit. Just because you see a ghost, it doesn't automatically mean that it's somebody that shouldn't be there.
There could be guides. There could be other,
of course, spirit guides, anything, right?
And, if you had asked to get in touch with any of those sorts of helpers and guides, they listened. So if you're not feeling threatened, don't be afraid. And,
exactly. And you don't sound like you're worried about it. So it's probably somebody and think about it. All of these dates where you caught a glimpse of something, was it a holiday? Was it a birthday? Was it the date of somebody's death? Was it somebody that died their birthday? Those are days that these people that have crossed over tend to visit. Did you dream of your grandfather the night before? Did you dream of somebody that died the night before? Usually that's a dead giveaway that they're visiting if you have a dream about them. So it could be anything. Don't always go to the bad place first. Think about it.
Mm-hmm. So Carla said, excuse me, I saw a girl about 2 in a nightshirt with the bluest eyes at the end of her bed. She was messing with a bedspread. Could see right through her, but her eyes were blue. And then she ran down the hall.
Okay. And absolutely, I see eye color too. I have to question whether the child was 2. The youngest ghost child that I have ever seen, it was 3 years old. And that 3-year-old talked like she was 7 or 8. So usually, and there will always be exceptions, but I say that anybody younger than 3, a relative, a guardian angel, somebody comes and gets them. I have never seen a baby younger than 3. In all the years, maybe 3 or 4 of them, not very many of them. So she could have been 3 years old, just a little girl, a tiny girl. One of our foster babies, she was 18 months old when she left, and she was still wearing a size 9-month dress. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine how tiny she was. Who was it? Amy McBeal, the TV show McBeal. What was the name of that show?
Was it the lawyer one, Ally McBeal?
Ally McBeal. Yeah, the lawyer show. Remember when they had the dancing scene and there was that little baby dancing around in the diaper?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this foster little baby looked like. She was that tiny, and she was like a spitfire. She was running around everywhere. But nobody would have guessed that she was 18 months old. They thought she was 6 or 7 months old. So, yeah. She's really pretty now. She's almost 27 now, and she's so pretty. She's a nurse now. So,
is she still dainty, or did she catch up?
Very dainty. No, she's very, very dainty. Yeah, she really is. But she's really a pretty girl now.
Aw. So Patrick had a fun question. I'm sure we've all wondered. Have you ever secretly snooped through someone's house while you were on the phone?
Oh, Patrick. The only time that I have ever done that, and I feel pretty safe talking about it, because I doubt if anybody's house that I ever did this to was actually watching this. But when we were in California and I had to do houses for celebrities out there, it's just amazing. Anybody that I've done your house, I come in, I sit at the kitchen table, we talk. Ted will go around and put the seeds up, and I leave. I never leave the kitchen. I'm pretty mature at the dining room table. But when I did those houses, I would sit and talk with him at the kitchen table too. But then I would just have to say, maybe we better go through the whole house and make sure that nobody's hiding, which I knew nobody was. But oh my God, it's just amazing with some of these houses. I wondered how in the world you could have a 10, 12,000 square foot house in Malibu and every window faces the ocean. It's just, don't you want to see that? Yeah, I did. So I went through.
As a mother.
My God. Right. I will say this is sort of crazy. I did a celebrity house, husband and wife, and I don't know what she thought. She had their kids. She says, I took my kids out of the house. I didn't want them around you. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I cook kids and make stew out of them. Of course you wouldn't want your kids here. So we sat at the table and I'm talking to her, and two of the people, she had 3 ghosts, 2 of the people they didn't know, but one they did, which was unusual. Mm-hmm. And so what she was really aggravated about was her closet. And she was trying to explain this closet to me, and I just didn't understand what she was talking about. It just didn't make any sense to me. So we get all done. The ghosts are gone, and Ted's going around with her husband. His name was Ted also, actually, putting up the seeds. And so I said to the wife, I said, let's go through the house and just make sure. She said, okay. And I'm dying to see this closet because I don't know what this closet is. Oh my gosh. I walked into this closet. First of all, it was bigger, twice the size of my living room. And there were like louver doors on all the walls. And there was a big red button. And she pushed this button, and these doors opened up, and they went around in a circle, and there were like pockets. There was a pair of shoes in a shoebox, a purse that went with them, a picture of the shoe on the outside of the box, and a piece of paper and the date the last time she wore them and to wear. And she's going, see, I don't even know how many pairs of shoes there were there. There were hundreds of shoes. She said, she said, I couldn't get to my shoes. She says, if you don't push the button, the doors don't open. I couldn't get to any of my shoes.
And heaven forbid you wore yesterday's shoes today.
I'm standing there. We just came through Santa Monica with all the homeless people all over the place. And I'm thinking to myself, really? And all I could come up with, because I didn't know what to say, I said, oh, that must have been so aggravating. Because I didn't know what else to say. Yeah.
I will be sure to put on the Skechers that I wore 2 days ago today, so I don't wear yesterday's Skechers today.
Somebody that took me to an island to clear some work at a spotted island said to me, there'll be a lot of celebrities there and everything, so you have to. What he was telling me was we were going to have to dress accordingly, is what he was trying to tell me. And so I said to Ted, we're packing, and I had gotten a couple new things. He said, you think you're gonna, there's going to be a problem? I said, I seriously don't think that my stuff coming from Kmart or Target is going to be on the same level of these people's clothes. We're not going to be wearing the same clothes. I'm pretty sure about that. So
yeah, but there's not going to be the Who Wore It Better, Marianne or
right. No, it's like, oh my God, no.
Let's see. So I saw the question, I think Patrick had asked it, and there's somebody in here, that you don't see the spirits that crossed over, but do you get a sense of them? Kind of like, I feel like it's your mom visiting.
No, even with myself, if I smell garlic, I know grandma's visiting. If I smell half and half pipe tobacco smoke, I know my father's visiting. I cannot sense them at all. It's really cool, though, when I do a house and the ghost, the earthbound spirit that is there, he has some ability and can tell me if somebody's relative or friend that has died and crossed over and is visiting. So sometimes I can give people information on their mom or dad or somebody in particular, but that's because the ghost told me, not because I can do that.
Now, you have mentioned that it's a question from Gina, that pets can see earthbound spirits when they're in the room. However, she's wondering if earthbound spirits can speak to them telepathically, kind of like how they speak with you.
I don't think so, because I think they are more like, if a ghost is mean to a dog, they'll stomp their foot or kick them when they're sleeping. They don't get up next to them and roar at them or boo them or something. So I don't think so. I think they can hear, the animal can hear noise they make if they hear, knocking or pounding on a wall or opening and closing. And, I've got some closet doors. If you open slowly, they can creak. An animal will hear the noise that the ghost is making. But on the other hand, I did a house, and the lady said that she had 2 golden retrievers, and she says, these dogs are crazy. She says, they're running around like they're nuts, like somebody's playing with them. So they can play with them. But I sat down with her at her kitchen table, and the 2, they were behind me. And the ghost was they started out in front of me, but then they disappeared. I figured they were in the house someplace. I'm talking to the woman, and her dogs were behind me. She says, look at them. Look at those crazy dogs. And I turn around. Both of her Goldens are sitting there, and they're licking the air. And their tails are wagging 1,000 miles an hour. And the ghost is standing in the middle trying to pet them. And the dogs are trying to lick the ghost. Like, I said, yeah, they're not crazy. I says, he's playing with them. And they're trying to lick them. That's where their tongues are going. Okay. And she said, oh, she says, I never thought about that. And I said, yeah, that's what that is. So
let's see. So Michelle was wondering, and you can't really answer this one right now on YouTube because you can't see into Michelle's house, but if you could tell if mom or dad is in the house, father passed in the house, the mother did not.
Just because somebody dies on a piece of property doesn't mean that that's where they are stuck. People can go wherever they want. Who's going to tell them they can't? So, and again, I cannot tell you that. You'd have to call or get on Zoom, and we could figure that out that way. But usually, if the man dies first, they usually will wait around for the wives if they were really close, and they'll go together. That happens a lot because they're, or he did everything. She didn't drive. She did everything, she was the house person. And so they're worried about him. And so they will stay with him for that reason. But no, I don't see that.
Mm. But if you have questions about any spirits in your house, you would join us on one of the Zooms. The next one's on the 18th. And Marianne can obviously, without snooping, see sounds that might be in your house.
What I have found seriously is that because they haven't talked to anybody in so long, they're just talk. And most of them are pretty big gossips. I mean, they'll tell me what the neighbors are doing. They'll tattle on the husband or the wife, but they don't, that's what they really like to do.
Mm. Well, and you had mentioned there was the one female spirit who would come and go, but she wasn't here the day that you came. And, she liked to go around and just gather up whatever she could find. And being that this is a small, and I call it an old town because it is old, but it's full of older people. Right. Like, she fits right along with them peeking out the window.
Everybody else. Oh yeah. The peekers never miss anything. Well, this one ghost, that it was a couple, they've been married like 45 years or something, and they were ready for divorce. This ghost was just a pain to them. And they were not, he was probably 5'6". She was this tiny little petite thing. He was fit, but he wasn't a big man. And he went one morning he went to his drawer to get a clean t-shirt. And he picked his t-shirt out, and it must have been an XXX large t-shirt. And he came stomping out of the bedroom. He says, "Who have you been with?" He was absolutely convinced that his wife was doing something with a really big man. And the ghost put that t-shirt in his drawer.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. Talk
about causing problems. Now, whose house did he take that from? Because it wasn't in this house.
Is that where all the socks go?
I wonder sometimes. I truly do.
And now, and masks, because now my masks are not coming out of the wash.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't care if it was the cheap ones, but my cool ones that say, "Shh, nobody cares," or, "I need a coffee." Those are the ones going missing.
Because they're your favorite ones.
Yeah.
But your house is clear.
Fairies.
Yes.
They were not invited in, damn it. Wendy has a question. Says, how can she protect her pets from being scared?
That's hard, especially if you work outside of the house or they're home alone a lot. I will tell you, ghosts can be very mean to animals. They've killed animals, not by strangling them, but opening up a door where they run out into the street, or there was birds, those big white birds, parrots of some kind, where they opened the door and the bird's head got caught in the door. The ghost did that. Smudge the house if you really think something's in the house, and smudge on a regular basis. If you crate your animal, if you crate your dog, and all of a sudden they're afraid to go in the crate, earthbound spirits, especially ones that don't like animals, are great once you're not around to go over and start rattling the crate when they're in it to scare them. So the other thing that you can do is get one of the Quincy charms and put it on their collar. At least the ghost has to stay 3.5, 4 feet away from them. But seriously, if you come home and all of a sudden your cat's locked in the closet and there's no way that they could have done it to themselves, or, the cat's hunched behind the dryer down the basement, you don't even know where they are. They've been so scared. The other thing is that all of a sudden animals that were totally housebroken, trained cats with their litter box, all of a sudden start going to the bathroom everywhere in the house because the ghost is walking up to them and stomping their foot at them, and they squat and they pee. So don't mess with kids or animals. It makes me crazy. So that would be my best suggestion. Seriously, keep smudging. And if you want put the expense out and get one of the charms to put on the collar. Well, and when I do houses and we put them on all the doors and everything, and they've got animals, I will give them extra seeds to put on their dog's collar and wrap it around with masking tape or duct tape or something. Because even if that way they'll just stay away, and that way when they go outside to, for whatever reason, if there's anything outside, it can't get close to them outside either.
And your acrylic ones aren't that expensive. So, and they're small, so easy, and it won't aggravate the animal.
They're actually, what I would probably do is even acrylic one. I think, well, you could hang it there with their rabies tag or their ID tag, but you could even wrap that around their collar.
Mm-hmm. So Lewis is wondering if having your gift ever takes an emotional toll on you.
Taking care of the earthbound spirits never bothers me. Sometimes the living is what gets me tired, because and I don't do it anymore now, and especially I haven't done it in over a year now because of the virus. But some days, when I was way younger, I would do 2 or 3 or 4 houses a day. And it's the same questions in every house. I mean, I want to talk about the ghost, but how old were you? And how did you do that? And weren't you afraid? And what did he say? And do your kid? So it's that actually tires me out more. Getting rid of the ghost has never bothered me. I don't really get tired from that.
And back to the ghost moving a shirt from one house to the other.
Yeah. Yes.
How does a spirit do that? Would hate to wake up and find the Louis Vuitton down the road.
Yeah, you'd be surprised sometimes what they can move. I do not know how they do it. They usually do that when they have more energy with the phase of the moon working up to the full moon, or today, which is a new moon. They have energy until a lot of energy until tomorrow. But I mean, that lady that did renovation in her house had an attic that was no way that she could ever get into it. There was no opening to get into the attic. It was an old house. And when they tore the ceiling down to do renovations in the house, stuff dropped out of the ceiling from when her kids were in grade school. And they were all married now, with report cards, dentist appointments that you stick on the refrigerator. All this stuff came falling out of the attic. How did it get up there? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how they do that.
I might have to go check my attic for the 2 things that are still missing that I can't find. So where did it go? Oh, Swifty wanted you to name drop some of these celebrities.
Oh, no.
Margie, she's a real estate investor and brings home personal property left behind in these houses. What should she be doing with those items before bringing them into her house?
Well, seriously, I would put them in your garage because it's cold outside now. But I would put them in your garage, and before you bring them any farther into your house, I would get a smudge stick and smudge them. So if anything's attached to them, they are not coming home with you. The other thing that you can do is the vehicle that you're driving that is moving these objects from their house to your house, have sea salt in your car. And anything that is used or you're bringing from a house like that, sprinkle sea salt on it before you put it in your car, because about 75-80% of the time that will knock somebody off if it's attached. It won't take away negative energy, but it will stop a ghost from following you. And the same thing with the smudging. The smudging will not get rid of negative energy off of anything either, but it will stop earthbound spirits. And being a real estate agent, you usually know this stuff. But if you've done a house for somebody that was an old crab and nobody liked it, and he was mean and he was a hoarder or something like that, then that stuff in the house probably is pretty negative. So you might want to get, and seriously, when you touch it and you put it down, if your hands feel funny or they tingle or it's like, yeah, that was just ugly, get the book When Ghosts Speak and do the little ceremony that's on the last chapter of this book, and do the ceremony on the item. In case it's got negative energy on it, it'll take it off. And, you could do a whole garage full of stuff in 10 minutes. It wouldn't take very long. But better than bringing that stuff into the house. That I really wouldn't do. It's like, that's the same suggestion for antiquers, garage sailing people, Goodwill, anything where you're buying used stuff like that. You've got to, it may not be the best bargain of the day if you're bringing something home with you.
Right. You get that chair and the grumpy old man connected to it.
Right.
So James is getting ready to do your ceremony, but he's asking if there's a substitute for the 3-part dish.
Of course, put 3 cups together, put 3 saucers together, get a deviled egg plate and use 3 of the places where you put the eggs. Get creative. You don't have to, you does not have to be that 3-sided dish. It just needs to be 3 separate containers that are together. So if you get 3 cups and put them together so they're touching, there you go. No big deal.
3 shot glasses if you got them up in your
There you go. Never thought of that. That'll work too.
So some questions about animals now, because there's a few people asking to show them all. The difference between an animal looking like ground level and straight ahead versus, up.
If your animal is looking toward the ceiling when they're on, I'm not talking about looking up a flight of steps. I'm talking about on a regular level. If they're watching the ceiling, that's usually somebody that's crossed over and is visiting. If they're looking eye level, that is usually an earthbound spirit. So that's usually how you can tell the difference. There's a lot of houses where there's circles. You can go from the living room into the hallway, back into the kitchen and around. If there's spaces, if all of a sudden your dog's running and stops and won't come through the dining room and backs up and goes back the other way, what's happening in that dining room that's scaring the dog? So just watch your animals. If your dog gets up and looks into the dining room or the living room before they walk in, they're looking to see who all's there. Just because you can't see him doesn't mean the dog can't see him.
Right. So Tyler, part of his previous statement was that he's gone in and investigated places trying to help families. Been seeing spirits for 12 years and have investigated many houses. But he's never come across his own family or friends that have passed. Might there be a reason?
Well, I don't know if Tyler is seeing earthbound spirits or people that have crossed over. Number one, you're seeing either one or the other. I know very, 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 very few people that can see both. So I guess you have to figure out which one are you seeing. If you are not seeing your family members or friends, then that would tell me that they have crossed over and you are seeing earthbound spirits that you can't see ones that crossed over, like I can't see ones that crossed over. And you will see them in dreams if they have crossed over and you remember your dreams. And that's the dead giveaway that they're where they're supposed to be if you dream about them, because earthbound spirits never get in dreams. So, but again, Tyler, I don't know exactly which kind you can see.
And Gina, if a person is wearing a Quincy for a while, then loses it, does the entity, Earthbound's entities, get angry because you were making them stay away?
No, that does not make them, just like doing the curse removal or using the sea salt soap, or no, smudging doesn't even make them angry. It's like, oh, I'm not going to do it. They're going to get really mad. No, they're not. They're going to be very lethargic, and they do not retaliate. So do not worry about that at all. And you lost your seed. They cannot get close enough to you to take it off. You lost it. So.
Okay. Oh, Tyler says that he sees Earthbound.
Well, then he doesn't see ones that crossed over. And that would tell me I would be happy to know that all my family and friends are where they're supposed to be then. So that's good news.
Right. And if they were, and you've covered this in some of your YouTube videos and some of our previous lives, Earthbounds cause physical harm because they're draining you, they're making you sick. And if you did have an Earthbound family member, eventually they would not want to do that to you. So
that's why most houses that I do, they are no Earthbound. They are not family members. They are usually total strangers. Because again, your relatives or friends wouldn't really do this to you. Mm-hmm. Starting this month, I have done so many of the over 2 years now of YouTubes. I've covered every subject pretty much more than once or twice. I mean, the letters, and it's like, you need to call, you need to use a smudge, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's the same thing over and over again. So what I'm going to do starting this month is you can still write letters with questions. And if it's questions that I haven't answered before, and you can go back and look at any one of the YouTubes from the last 2 years, over 2 years, and get an answer to what you're looking for. But starting this month, not today, I'm going to start doing or talking about different investigations that I've done, actual houses. And of course, names and places will be changed. We don't talk about people personally. But if I've done investigative work for you and it was a really unique situation, drop me a note and let me know what it was. It'll probably jog my memory if you want it to be, I can bring it up and talk about it. But I think it'll be just fun because this is usually stuff that I do at events, which we haven't been to any events. So I think it would just be a little bit more interesting for some people. I think people are getting tired to hearing the same thing. So let's see how this works.
Right. And that could be interesting. So Andrew asks, what's the most damage you've ever seen or heard a ghost causing? Can ghosts cause physical harm, like on TV, scratches, pushing others?
They cannot kill you. I would not be going into houses if they thought I would get killed, but they can scratch you. They can pull hair. They can pull the covers off of you. They can leave fingerprints on you. They can run their fingers or their fingernails up and down your back when you're taking a shower. They can break things. They can do the plumbing, the TV. They can rip stuff off the walls. They can stick knives in the walls. Doesn't happen very often, but they can do that. But they cannot take a knife and stab you or choke you or shoot you or anything like that. And I've been in some creepy houses, and sometimes the living are more creepy than the ghosts. So sometimes.
What's that saying? It's like the dead don't bother me, the living do. Let's see. Oh, that's a good question. Lewis, have you ever had a spirit you crossed over come back into a dream to say thank you?
No, and I'm surprised. I've often thought about that, why I don't, but no, I never have. Um, before, when I say to the family, are you ready to let them go? They'll say yes, and then I will ask the family, or now, you can name 2 people. Who would you like your ghost to find in the white light, and tell them to come into a dream so you can talk to them. I get response from that a lot. Oh my God, I finally talked to my father after 40 years, or my great grandmother came into my dream and introduced herself. So that works really, really well. But that question is sort of weird, because at one event, somebody said to me, do you ever trick a spirit into going into the light? On occasion, especially if it's somebody young. And so I said, yeah, on occasion I've done that. And they'll go, so when you die, you're going to go into the light? And it's like, yes, I am. And I'm not coming back till they get the earth right. So I'll be in the light for a long time. And it's like, when you go in, do you think these people are going to be really mad at you?
No.
And it's like, I don't know. They wouldn't be in the white light if they were mad at me. So no, I don't think so. I hope not.
Oh yeah, I'm done. I'm not coming back to this planet. I'm so done.
You gotta get it right, that's for sure.
Let's see. So Patrick, do you remember from the Zoom the other night if my father crossed over or if he is earthbound, because you mentioned that he visits a lot and he's not.
No, I remember he definitely crossed over. Absolutely. But like I said, I think he was worried about your mom, if I remember correctly. And so I think that's why he's visiting so much. And your mother's elderly, so he's probably just hanging around, watching over. And you.
Gina wants to know if a person can be a portal.
No, they cannot, because it has to be something solid. And a person obviously is not solid, so a person cannot be a portal or have a portal in them. Anything that's living and breathing cannot have a portal in them.
Let's see. There was a couple other fun ones, but now trying to find them. So the question was, what's the charm called for pets? And it's just the Quinceam charm. It's just the charm. It's not anything like.
No, it's just a little round little charm that you can see the seed in. And we mentioned that one because there's gold tone ones, there's silver ones. So this would be the least expensive, which would be terrific for an animal.
Right. There seems to be some pets that their goal is to either get the squeaker out of the toy or get whatever's on their collar off. And my cat is like that. Like, I can't hang anything from his collar. It will be lost and gone in a couple days. We've tried, not necessarily one of your seats, but cute little things. And
our cats have bells on their collars and they don't mess with them, but they're the snap away collars that if they get stuck on something, they automatically open. And we, a couple of the one keeps figuring out a way how to pop his, but no. And that's why I say with the seed, if you're getting it for your dog, hardly anybody uses chokers. They usually use, the web kind of, or leather collars for their animals. And you can, again, masking tape with the dog, a cat can't get it off if that's what you want to do.
So Michelle asked if they haven't crossed over, can you see them if they're not in your house? So this is a continuation of one of her previous questions. So you can see earthbounds anywhere, but Marianne cannot see if they're earthbound if they're not right next to you when you're on the Zoom or on the phone.
Right.
Her sight works for wherever you're at immediately.
There was somebody on Zoom that was talking about a house that she wants to renovate. That's her family house, and she had sent me a letter. So I'm sure there's portals in that house. There's no doubt about it. But she was calling from her own house. And so I couldn't say for sure if there were any spirits in there at the time, because the house they visit it a lot, but nobody's actually living in it. So chances are pretty good that there's not any ghosts in the house until they come in and they stay for a couple hours. Maybe something would pop out of a portal. Or when they're not there, the ghost that lives there is living at the neighbor's house. Oh, they're here. The car's here. Let's run back over there now. That's a possibility too. But you don't know.
Right. That's why I always laugh when people are like, let's go investigate this abandoned house. Well, why?
Or there.
Cemeteries. That's the biggest thing. Like, we're going to go investigate the cemetery. Well, there's nothing there. There's nothing.
Everybody in the cemetery is dead. No energy is there. And I have been visiting my own relatives at the cemetery. And I've seen somebody come in and swoop and go over to their headstone and look at it and shake their head like nobody's taking care of it, and then they leave. But they're not hanging out in the cemetery. And it's usually old ladies that come and check out their headstones. Go figure.
They're most likely hanging out at the caretaker's house. It's usually nearby.
That's right.
Because cemeteries make your best neighbors.
Certainly do.
Let's see. So people are asking where they can get your quinces. And if you just go to Marianne's website, on the shop on her website, you can get any of the seeds, smudge sticks. You have your books up there, right? I believe so.
Are the books in the store, Ted? Does the store have the books in them?
There's a link to Amazon.
Link to Amazon. But
Okay.
You've got them in your store.
Yes. So, you can get quinceañera, you can get the mugwort pillows, which we didn't talk about on this one, but you can go back and watch any of the other ones. I think this is the first one that we've never mentioned them on until now. So I broke the.
Yeah. Mugwort is if you want to remember your dreams. It's a little pouch you put between your pillowcase and your pillow, and in about 3 weeks, you will remember your dreams.
Mm-hmm. And then for anybody that wants to call Marianne and leave the message, there is the phone number to call. That phone number is also on her website. So, and I love telling people, they're like, what's her website? And I'm like, it's literally justhername.com. And then because I say it's literally, they're like, oh, JUSTH. No, MarianneWinkowski.com.
And that's why we had a cat named Fred. And everybody would say, just Fred? And so we changed his name to Just Fred. That's right.
Well, how many of us really call our animal by their name? Like we give them a million little nicknames,
When we only had one cat, yeah, all kinds of nicknames. But when you've got two and they're brothers, they know who Bob and Bill are. Let me tell you.
Oh, you're the one in trouble, not me.
Yeah, and they can be backs to me. If I say Bob, he'll turn around and look. They know their name. So,
or the ear will twitch. Like, I
Right.
heard you, but I'm not going to respond.
I'm not looking. No. Then they have the goat ears,
Right. Let's see. So if you want to join us for Zoom on the 18th, which is a Monday, this takes place at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Please be mindful of time difference if you are not in the Eastern time zone. You can be out of the country and join us. That's actually pretty fun. We like that. Just keep an eye on the time. There is the link there to join us, or you can go to goddesselite.com and find it there. That's actually on our website. We're kind of waiting to see how this one fills up before we add any more dates, because we're planning some Februaries, but to see.
Let's see how this one goes first.
Yeah. So, but please keep an eye on the time. It does tell you as you're signing up that it is Eastern Standard Time. I get many emails about what time, and then it never fails as we're ending. Somebody from somewhere else is logging in. They're behind. So please, Eastern Standard Time. And Google will help you. Like, what time? Google's our friend. But what else do we have? Hopefully in April we'll be able to do our haunted antlers. Let's fingers crossed. Let's see
I
what
hope we
happens.
can. I'm tired of not being able to go out and see people.
You know, that one, if we're able to do it, and if you're local or you want to come in for it, Antlers Hotel in Lorraine, Marianne will give a presentation, and then we get to do kind of like a ghost hunt walk through the hotel. And not quite a speakeasy, but it had some shady history to it. And let me tell you that
Old hotel, who knows what's hanging around in the corners and lurking. You never know.
You know there's going to be lots of things because they've turned the upper 2 floors into apartments. So there's always people for these, you know, earthbounds to be getting energy from. So
How many of those people that live in those apartments break their leases and don't stay for the whole amount because of the ghosts?
that would be interesting. I wonder if a leasing agent might be like, you know, we sign year leases, but they don't last more than 4 to 6 months. That would be kind of interesting.
That'd be interesting. I bet not very many. Sometimes that's why apartment buildings, the turnover is so high. Same thing with houses that are people rent out. A lot of times those are real high turnovers too.
Mm. You know, it's funny because when the gentleman whose family helped do the renovations here had said, you know, he goes, the house must like you because you've been there so long, that growing up, like they would have friends that just would not come back. And as he said, the house would act up, you know, when certain kids would come over to play or something. And
people don't, if they pay attention, you walk into somebody's house for the first time, or you're going out to buy a house, or you're looking at apartments. You can walk into a house, an open house, say, and you walk in, the house is beautiful on the outside, the landscape is there, you're holding the paper, everything is on the list that you want, and you walk in that house, and all of a sudden you go, ooh, it's really creepy in here. It smells good. It's bright. It's light. They've got cookies on the counter, and you get the chills. There's a reason. You need to pay attention to that. Same thing with an apartment. It's never bothered me because I can clear it. So right. If I like it, it'll be mine. I'll take care of it. And I've had to clear most of the houses that we've ever owned or any place we've ever lived. But that's okay. But it can be, you know, people that I've done work for, they will go, well, we're going to sell. Can I call you before we buy this house? If you like it, buy it. We can fix it. Don't bother. Plus, I'm so glad that I thought of this. I have been doing houses for so many years now. And again, 40, 50 years at least. I don't know what it is about January and February. Somebody that I did a house 35 or 40 years ago will go, well, it's January, just doing the house check. Is it still clear? I've got since January 1st, I've gotten over 110 calls. People wanting to, hi, Marianne, how you doing? Can we check? Been here about 25 years ago. So if I haven't called you back, the house is fine. I'm not calling you back.
It's a question of rather than I know, because, you know.
Right. And I tell people, you think you've got a problem in the house. You've got the seeds up. Go up and look at the seeds. If they're smashed, if they're cracked, if they're popped, somebody was trying to get in. If the seed's missing, yeah, you may have a problem. But if it's up there, your house is still fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe the roof got blown off in a storm, call. Maybe something came in if the roof got blown off. But seriously, if nothing's happened, your house is fine. It's like, geez, I remember, I've got their grandchildren calling me now. So, no, stop.
It always makes me think of those states where the realtors will have like their for sale sign, and then underneath it'll say, not haunted.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, because I think in some states, like there's some legality about having to list it, or you don't have, you know, it's funny.
No, it's in your disclosure. even in Ohio.
Is it even here too? Okay.
Oh, no, it's on the disclosure. If you have your house, was your house ever haunted? And if it was, they say, if you write yes, it's like, well, what did you do? And in real estate, I do so much work for real estate agents. They'll laugh. They'll be waiting for somebody to come in. Somebody will come in and run their hand over the top of the door. Oh, this is a good house. Mary Ann Seed's up there.
But I take them when I leave.
They're supposed to.
Well, and I even joked with the one realtor that I had that I'm like, I've got the only non-haunted house in this town.
Probably.
It's this little, well, the train wreck, and hopefully we'll get to do that at some point this summer too.
Do that walk too. I just want to do stuff again.
And it was a compliment. And I think I told you, like, when some of the practitioners for a holistic expo, like my house turns into Hotel Goddess Elite for some of the ones coming in out of town, friends of mine, and they crash in the house. And the one friend, Kayla, she's like, your house is creepy now in that it's so quiet. There's nothing here. Nothing happens. And I'm like, isn't it great? She's like, I'm just used to something all the time. She goes, but it's eerie that there's nothing.
A lady called after 4 or 5 days a long time ago after I was there, and her house was pretty active. It was pretty loud. I don't think people realize how all houses make house noises. They're just part of the house. But sometimes the house is a lot louder than it really needs to be because of a ghost. And she called me up and she goes, I can't stand it. I can hear the air. I said, what? She says, it's too quiet. I hear air. I said, turn on a radio. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
A white noise machine,
Right. Do something. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's already like almost 20 after 11.
Yeah. So we're good for the day. Yeah.
So,
okay.
We'll be back, next Wednesday, 10 a.m.?
Yes, but we'll be back on Monday first.
Oh, that's right, because we have the Zoom, because it is already getting to halfway through January. Holy cow. Slow the calendar down, please.
Yeah. So we will see the Zoom people on Monday, and we'll be back here next Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock.
That's right. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Think of some questions for next week. We like the fun questions. I think Lewis so far is coming up with some of the most unique ones. Oh, and he did say that you could make little weapons, like a little BB gun that shoots quinseeds. That's one thing I chuckled about before while you were talking about something else. So if I'm laughing, I'm usually reading one of Lewis's comments or questions.
Okay. Watch your purses, Lewis.
Put the quinseeds in the Louis Vuitton. So
that's right. There you go.
But we have to figure out how to get them to England to him.
Yeah, he's got to have friends here that can send him a care package with some in.
Or we have to figure out how to do a ghost walk near him.
I tell you, England likes their ghosts. They make a lot of money off their ghosts. They like everything's haunted. They like their ghosts in England. Maybe not the people living in their flats, but the ones that have the castles and the big houses, they like their ghosts. So
we'll have to find a place kind of like the bike path here where it's not on like necessarily private property to get around that. Or I'll have to hurry up and learn how to do it because I have no qualms. Like if the ghost wants to go and they're in turmoil and in an emotional need to want to cross, I have no problem. Like it's about helping the spirit, not the living who wants it because it's a selfish on their end. So you take care of one side, I'll take care of the other side.
Same thing I tell people when they're taking negative energy off somebody, you got to get their permission. They don't have to believe it, but you got to ask but you just can't randomly go zapping people. You got to ask them first. So
see, like I would have no problem white lighting somebody, like dropping them through a white light hole in the floor if they're like a pervert or something and they're refusing to go into the light. Like I'm going to get rid of you one way or the other. Like you're not going to cause problems for this young teenager because you're a pervert. Like fine, down, you need to go.
Okay.
I have no problem.
They really listen, right? As soon as you make the white light that they're not going to buzz off, right? Do you think they're going to just fall in like the snake did?
Yes. Okay. See, snakes fall, be it human snakes or real reptilian snakes. They will fall.
Okay. One way or the other. Gotcha.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We'll see everybody next week at 10 a.m. And thanks for, Lewis says there's a ghost on every corner and around every turn. So we should have no problem.
I bet you there is.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.